Well, this is pretty cool to see. I'm Joe Rhythm with the Retro Review of World Class Championship Wrestling, the Fritz von Erich Retirement Show from June 4th, 1982. This is a really cool time capsule event. Fritz von Erich would retire as champion and then come back a couple years later when the untimely death of his son David von Erich warranted them having the first parade of champions in front of a big house in Texas Stadium. Now, for this show, it was in Texas Stadium. There were only apparently 6,800 people there. That being said, it was cool to see Fritz von Erich go out as champion. You also got to see King Kong Bundy with hair. You also got to see a pretty damn good card. Now, there were a couple matches cut. This does come from Classic Wrestling Stuff on YouTube. I do want to plug them really quick. They have some other events that are as complete as possible. I can't wait to dive into. Because of the whole transition to Peacock for the WWE tape library, stuff like this may not see the light of day for a number of months, if not a couple years, and may never actually see the light of day. So it's good that YouTube exists, so we can see events like this from Classic Wrestling Stuff as well as other users. Let me know your thoughts on this show in the comments. So we had the cheesy opening music, Stephen P. News, Stephen P. News, Stephen P. News. Sorry, I can't unhear it. And then Bill Mercer and Jay Saldi introduce us, and Jay stumbles. I don't think he was used to being on television. Bill Mercer, though, great sports-based wrestling commentator. Really, I love Bill Mercer. Really did, have just a really, natural feel for, presenting wrestling like a sport. I mean, and that's what Texas did, but he really just added some credibility to it, and he had such passion for it. And he had such a great fire about him, but he didn't, override any of the matches. He let the matches play out while adding, just little tidbits and everything like a broadcaster should do. He didn't override it. So the spoiler and Frank Dusek got cut, or Dusek. I apologize if I mispronounce any of these names. The nice thing is 98 minutes. According to the wiki, there were a couple matches that actually were cut from the broadcast. That's okay, though, because still for 98 minutes, you get quite a bit of action. Now we get Bill Irwin versus Ken Mantell. Yes, that Ken Mantell, Texas heavyweight title match. Bill was a great heel. Mantell did a lot of mat work. And it wasn't necessarily bad, but this one went a few minutes too long, in my opinion. We get a lot of arm work. Again, a lot. Bill stomps and punches. Ken comes back with a backdrop and a chin lock, and then he gets a spinning toe hold, but tries it one too many times, gets sent into the corner. Bill tops him 1, 2, 3. There you go. That's it. Then we get Lola Gonzalez versus Irma Gonzalez. Cue the Spider-Man meme with the Gonzalez twins. Activate. No. It actually was two Hispanic women fighting over the Mexican Women's Championship. And much like the Star Wars, June 1983 event that I would review, it was really cool to see this because these women presented a different style. Like, you could tell the Texas and Mexican wrestling, they had a bit of a hybrid on this show. We got to see some lucha stuff. And these women went all out. Sure, they may have not been that well known to, nationwide audiences. I have no idea who these women are, but I was impressed with what they did here. They were, they treated it like a struggle. They did some good lucha stuff. They did some good arm drags. They did some good, they did some good leg locks. They did some nice scissoring. It's always nice to see nice scissoring in a women's match. Had to say it. Okay, I didn't have to, but I'm going to anyway, because why not, have equality when it comes to doing offensive shit. And they did actually some really nice stuff. There was one point where, leg scissor and tumbleweed. That was really good stuff. Like, they treated this like a contest. They were yelling a lot in Spanish. I have no idea what they said. It only took 1 year of Spanish. I knew more going in than I did coming out. Was nice to hear some of the girls, in class speak Spanish, but I digress. This was pretty good stuff, though. Good psychology, quick offense. The bulldog flip off the ropes. That was really good. Referee was caught in the middle. And then we get a gory special into a roll-up for 2. We get a catch and drop 1, 2, 3. Lola retains. Good stuff, though. These women, did some good shit here, and I was impressed. And then Andre the Giant and Bugsy McGraw was cut, but they get featured in the Battle Royal later. We get El Solitario versus Rene Guajaro. I apologize for butchering that horribly. NWA World Light Heavyweight Championship match. Sadly, Solitario would pass away 4 years later, about 4 years later, due to internal injuries suffered in the match, and it really is a shame if you read up on. And Renee would pass away about 8 years later. He was a little bit older. I think Solitario was only 30. He was only in his 30s when he passed away, or just under 40. But the whole point is reading up on him, he had a pretty good career. It's a real shame. It is a real shame. But this match, fine for what it was cool to see a dive by Solitario because you didn't get to see that shit a lot, especially in American wrestling, because it's 1982. Now you see about 18 dives a match. And that's if they decide to slow down and not call so many dives. But I kid. We get a nice head scissors, Hurricanrana, 1, 2, 3. There you go. I mean, they call it a head scissors or Hurricanrana, like what Rey Mysterio would popularize later doing the West Coast Pop. Good shit. These guys cut a pretty good pace here. I still enjoyed the women's match just a little bit more, but it was cool to see what the guys did here. And then we get a body slam battle royal. I think it was $10,000 to the winner. Andre the Giant beat everybody. I mean, I don't think it was a shock since Andre the Giant was in here and nobody was going to slam Andre the Giant, even though people had, if he wanted you to, Harley Race, Hulk Hogan, who did slam Andre the Giant, I believe, in the Shea Stadium show. It was either Shea Stadium or the studio show or both. I'm not sure. I think it was Shea Stadium. But Jose Lothario was in this. Frank Dusek, Bill Irwin, Al Madrill, Ken Mantell, Bugsy McGraw, The Spoiler, and T. John Tibereau. And I heard that name, but I can't recall where I heard it. It was cool to see. T. John was huge. He kind of looked like a really, really huge Raggedy Ann, or Raggedy Andy, that is. He got slammed later and got eliminated, but it took two guys to slam him, so that was at least a nice little bit of storytelling. It was down to Bugsy and Andre, and there was this weird coach guy. I had no idea who the guy was, but he just kept whistling, kept shouting at him, like, hey, get in there, Bugsy. Bugsy's firing up, but then he gets slammed. And Andre wins, and then we get two referees for the next match. So the Body Slam Battle Royal was fine for what it was. It was cool to see all those guys involved. So the Great Kabuki Magic Dragon with Gary Hart versus David and Kevin Von Erich. WCCW All-Asian Tag Title. What? I never even heard of such a thing. That's okay, though, because they did get, they had a relationship with All Japan. The sad thing is about Magic Dragon, I'd heard the name. I'd seen a little bit of him. He would die only 5 years after this. And due to circumstances, Giant Baba would actually, regret how he passed away. It was a plane crash. And it wasn't Baba's fault. It was just, sometimes guilt eats at people different ways. It really is a shame. But Magic Dragon, I can see why people praise him. Kabuki, I don't understand why he wrestled in weird slacks. I don't get it. The pace was good, though. We get a hot tag to David Von Erich. And then they get nerve holds where they're holding him under the armpits and everything. They're doing that. It's like they're trying to do the Molly Shannon thing. Super Saw. No. Then Red Dragon does that. Magic Red Dragon. I'm just going to call him that. And then Kevin gets a hot tag. We get one ref bump. And while that referee's recovering, he sees David Von Erich toss Dragon over the top rope. That's a disqualification. So, since the other referee didn't see that, David tops Dragon back in the ring, 1, 2, 3. But then the other referee says, no, DQ. And the crowd wants to hurl shit and skin the referee alive. Hopefully not. Bit dark, but they did love the Von Erich boys. Harley Race versus Kevin Von Erich, or Kerry Von Erich. It would have been interesting if Kevin had wrestled twice. Kerry really did have something. It is a real shame. But this is back when he could keep both feet on the ground. No DQ. But it was also with countouts. I don't understand why. Why not just let them fight? Maybe it's because Falls Count Anywhere was going to be in the next match. Even though the other match, I think, was taped a little bit later, according to how the announcer said it. Bit weird how they did that. Quick start, a lot of rest holds later, but it goes to the floor a lot. Race takes a backdrop. Rep bump to the floor. Pile driver for 1. Oh, Kerry. Couldn't even sell that. Goes outside to the announcer table spot. They're on a platform. Kerry gets bashed into it, and he starts bleeding, and then Race takes the post spot. He starts bleeding, so they're all bleeding. And then crossbody reversal by Kerry later, 1, 2, 3. Good stuff. He gets a shot at Ric Flair a little bit later. I think they said in a couple months. So, I think they said August, actually. So, Fritz Von Erich versus King Kong Bundy, NWA American Heavyweight Title Match. Falls Count Anywhere. Bundy with hair. My God. It was a slugfest. A lot of attempts Fritz put on the claw. They go outside, chair to Bundy's head while, the post was right there. And he covers him 1, 2, 3. There isn't much to this match because Fritz was older and didn't really need to be in the ring anymore, and that's why he retired for about 2 years. And then he talks about how all of his boys are going to be world champion. Sadly, he wasn't quite correct on that. Real tragedy with the Von Erich family. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.